2. Well, greetings, warmest greetings to y'all. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, with my brand new monitor headphones. And dude, it's like being on stage. It's awesome. Coming to you live from the heartland of America. Right to your heart is the plan. We're here to help you unindoctrinate yourself, guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, and be your own guru. Today, the day that you've all been waiting for, we have twin flames, Natalie and Abby. Say hello, ladies.
Hi.
They are twin flames, and they're going to talk today about an encounter they had with a reptilian psychic and so much more. But before we get into it, remember, the hot cup of shut up coffee is available right now on jeffreydaugherty.com, along with the rods of truth, the Mystech bracelets, and your focused life force energy. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com and avail yourself of all this great stuff. So, ladies, you two are twin flames. Am I correct?
Yes, 100%.
Interesting. And you both said that in perfect synchronicity. That was great.
It happens. Yeah.
So, most of the people in the new age genre think of twin flames as mainly a male-female type of a thing.
Yeah, well, that is not correct. It's just, it's like a new age agenda or something. It's nothing like that. Some people are like some people are truly twin flames. Like my dad and my stepmom, they are for sure twin flames. They can they can read each other's minds, and they just do nothing but grow together.
They manifest things so easy too when they're together, kind of like, well,
your
absolutely
parents,
like
your parents too.
Yeah.
Like her parents are it's just, but there's a lot of twin flames out there that are, of the opposite sex and more romantic, but not, like I would say probably like 75 to 80%. It's like, it could be like your neighbor growing up. Like, it's just, we'll get into that.
So what you're telling us is that this concept of twin flames as a male-female sexual union, not, in your experience, not totally legit at all.
No.
Okay. And you guys, not a sexual union, right?
Right. No, right.
Okay. I have to ask the questions because everybody in the chat room saying, but what about? So anyway, we got that cleared up.
No. People wish.
Hey, and if nothing wrong with that, if whatever people are into, and we're open to all sorts of people here, and certainly don't discriminate. But how long have you known that you're twin flames?
Seriously, probably since 2015. It's been about 4 years.
I say 4 years, because we met before that, but it took us a lot of growing to do to really understand how close of a bond we have and how much we can actually make happen when we're together. So it took a little bit of time for us to kind of get more spiritual, get more awaken, and just kind of fill our brains with a lot of information of things and grow together as spiritual beings, kind of. If that makes sense.
This is the craziest story. Okay, so
we're all about crazy stories here, so go ahead.
You got a few.
So we met through a mutual friend, Hannah, and we met at a concert, and we hit it off awesome.
Yeah, we were like attached to the hip when we met each other. Couldn't separate. It was fun.
Yeah, then I was pregnant, and she ended up coming like to my daughter's second birthday party. Was it Gianna's first or something? His first. Yeah, it was Gianna's first birthday party. I was pregnant, and I was like, she was like, we just had this bond. Then after not seeing her for probably about 7 months or something like that,
Yeah.
it was about 7 months. We happened to be out at a bar, and I see her out of nowhere, and we only hung out 2 times
once
before.
Or twice before,
and it's literally time stopped, and I our souls were just whoa, and it was a busy day of the year in the valley.
Yeah, she came up to me and she's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, what are you doing here? Because we hadn't seen each other in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
But ever since that night, we ended up just getting some drinks together. All of us girls went back to one of our friend Hannah's house, the one who introduced us in the beginning, and we hit it off ever since. Ever since, we pretty much have been
But that was a magical night. That's when I started. I'm like, you have because she was going through a really, really hard time.
Yeah, I was.
And I just felt like the deepest empathy ever. And I was like, come here. And it's like time stopped. It was like, oh my gosh, and that's when I started.
And then Natalie, let me stop you. Let me break in a second because you've said this a couple times, and I want to know if you're being metaphorical or if you're speaking literally. Did it really seem like time stopped at like everything around you freed?
Not like that one time. Not like the reptilian psychic time, but it was just like
because we're just focused on each other and just having that friendship bond. It was weird.
Okay.
Like when we're together, it doesn't really matter about what everybody else is kind of doing. And if that makes any sense, we're kind of.
It does.
Yeah, we're just we flow together well. When we're together, we just laugh and we cry and we embrace each other and just we help each other out when the times of need. And I think that's why when she saw me down in the valley, or that's what we call this group of area.
Yes.
But this going out area where we're from. But when she saw me down there, she could see that I wasn't. I was fine. I wasn't crying. I wasn't having fun. It wasn't like that. But she obviously understood there was bigger things going on. She could see it within.
So which one of you first learned about this whole concept of twin flames?
She introduced it to me.
Okay. And so Natalie, you learned about twin flames, and how long did it take you to realize, holy crap, Batman, Abby and I are twin flames?
Well, my friend Jill, who she was the one who certified me in Reiki and reflexology, and she's owns the Mystic Zone. It's a huge metaphysical shop or whatever, and she did a card reading for me one time, and she was like, Abby is your twin flame. Then and she also taught me about
would she have oracle cards, angel cards, something?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They weren't tarot cards, but they were more along the lines of the angel cards.
Yes. And then after I explained what we went through with the reptilian psychic to my friend Matt, we call him the Oracle.
Yeah.
he is the Oracle. And he's
you have to know though that Tracy Dyer is known as the Oracle around here, just so you know.
Oh, really? Nice.
So and we're and I was like, well, what's a twin flame? And they're like, you and Abby are what twin flames are. I've never seen anything like it.
So we did a little bit of our research.
So then
after everything that we're going to get into and explain, we kind of did more of the research aspect on twin flames and how it actually is really kind of right on point.
It's right on point.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
you decide that you hear about this thing called twin flames. Where were you both as far as being aware, awake, on a spiritual path at that point? Were you on it or were you just coming up to it?
Oh, when we were learning about twin flames, after everything that happened, we were so high on a vibration. It's unheard of. We were literally living on a different dimension. That was probably the most spiritual we've ever been.
Yeah, it felt like we were definitely at a high because after what we had dealt with
the trauma
that we endured, we kind of just grew.
Very interesting. So it almost sounds like you both went through what we would call a dark night of the soul together simultaneously.
I've done my research on that, and I was definitely in that state of mind.
So you've walked through the valley of the shadow of death together.
Literally. Literally.
We've had some definite occasions where
you don't even
testing.
Yeah.
It's definitely testing. And it's funny that, most people get tested with it, just by themselves. Every scenario that we've ever had.
It's really, together. We didn't even tell you that one time when we were in your living room. We'll get into that another day. But oh man, that was crazy. We've had so much stuff.
Do you think it's possible that you were brought together because potentially either one of you or both of you might not have been able to come through as cleanly individually?
Yes.
I think that would be, me.
I'm here to help her. I love you.
She does. She helps me.
I love you.
That's a very interesting concept.
It's so nice. It's nice going through this because I've been going through my awakening now I don't feel like it ever stops. I'm constantly growing, constantly learning, constantly dealing with battles, and good and bad. But she's been along my side through it all, and I never even remotely even dabbled with any of this until she came into my life. And when she came into my life, it resonated so much that
it changed her life.
It changed.
It literally then, okay, so this gets even crazier. So if you saw a picture of what Abby looked like before all of this, it's like her, and this is what happens. Like if you research about twin flames,
sounds like I look
no,
bad.
she was absolutely beautiful. She looked like Julianne Hough. You know who that is? Like she was in Grease Live.
Mm-hmm.
She had like blonde hair and like nice boobs. I'm sorry, but I mean, but she was beautiful. But like her face just like transformed into kind of looking like mine, if that makes any sense.
Well,
but out of nowhere.
Interesting.
I wouldn't say transformed. I think the more we were closer, it does say
my physical appearance changed too.
Right, but like what they say is when you're with, what were you telling me earlier about twin flames? You just read like something about how when you're together you spiritually grow, but then your
DNA. It's like your DNA upgrades and it manifests into your physical.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I could see that. And you told me, I think, Natalie, you told me and shared some stories about how the two of you, when you're in a meditative state together, it seems like you even astral project into each other's bodies. Is that correct?
Can I tell you the truth about that on camera?
No, let's go with a meditative state.
Okay, meditative state with a little bit of help.
No, definitely a meditative state. We've actually
we've
seen each other in
each other. Like it's like you're me, and it's like we literally can like
kind of morph into
each other's bodies.
Yeah,
like
she looked like me and I look like her.
Yes.
And it was definitely interesting. We even had an outsider.
Yeah, my cousin Chris
was
watching.
What's going on?
And he was like, how are you guys doing this?
So wait a second. Chris could look at you two and realize that you guys were morphing in and out of each other.
He's on a very high vibration too. He's very
that's her cousin.
Yes.
And magic happens with all three of us hanging out too. It's really interesting.
When he's there.
When he's around, a lot of things happen. He's very spiritually inclined as well. Yeah. He kind of knows a big gist of everything that we do. So he's not.
I keep hearing in my head.
He helped us. He taught us so much stuff too. Like he taught us about what's going on with CERN and like the cloning center.
A whole bunch of different information. We kind of all three are interested in all the same topics, and when we get together, we expand our minds. Like which is really interesting.
Absolutely. I keep hearing in my mind, Tom Cruise, you complete me. I don't know why. I just keep hearing that.
Yeah.
So you had each other at hello, right?
We had each other at hello. That is right.
And I understand that it's at least Natalie's opinion that Abby has a lot of feline energy and may indeed be a Lyrian type being.
Absolutely, 100%.
I've gotten this a lot, not just from Natalie, but I mean, well, the Lyrian, you brought it up. Yes. I never put everything together, but people say I resemble a cat.
You are a cat.
I am a cat.
And she can be a good kitty. She can be a bad kitty. She can get feisty and territorial.
So what makes you think you're a Pleiadian, Natalie?
I just know because I've gotten messages from the Pleiades predicting what was going to happen.
I can't count countless times where she's...
Let's test this out with the rods. We'll put them on the spot. Is Natalie a Pleiadian? Oh, indeed you are. Is Abby is it Lyrian or Lyrian? Lyrian. Is Abby a Lyrian? Yes, indeed. Is Stucci having a really good time right now? Oh, yeah, Rocky's having a good time. And Rocky says he appreciates the Italian last names. I don't know what last name he saw, but...
Zucchini.
Zucchini, yeah. Absolutely.
Italian. My dad's side.
Yeah, that's Rocky Stucci, and we have a...
I'm Italian too on my mom's side, and my dad's Italian too, but my grandpa's German, so I have a German last name.
Absolutely. So just another gratuitous plug. This Sunday night, Rocky Stucci and I kick off our nationally syndicated radio show, Shut Up and Listen. So be here at 9 p.m. You can still hear it on YouTube, 9 p.m. on Sunday night. So you two know your twin flames. You're growing. You're trying to learn. You're talking to people. And you're trying to figure out things. And I think a lot of us can identify with that because we all are searching. We all are looking. And you run into your friend called Crystal. And what does she say to you? And it's interesting that her name is Crystal because you guys are so into crystals.
Right. I know. So is she. Yeah, we have all of our crystals right now.
You think we're like, you think like we love Crystal?
Oh, yeah. So I met Crystal, it was about 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago now. And,
that's really, really loud, Natalie.
Yeah, she's like messing with something. I've met my friend Crystal. She's it's funny because I was always kind of the last person to kind of understand or get into the spiritual aspects of everything. I've had amazing friends my entire life that just have tried to grab me, and Natalie's done the best job out of just trying to teach me and just being a good guide for me throughout everything. But my friend Crystal, I met her, and this is how it gets into the reptilian psychic. I met her about 11 years ago, and for 8 years, she's been telling me to go to this. Phyllis. Her name is Phyllis, and she said, Phyllis on Talmadge Avenue. So there's only one Phyllis on Talmadge Avenue. I knew I went. You know what I mean? But I've been trying to call this woman. She said like a year and a half. She said this psychic is absolutely phenomenal. She's gone to her growing up. She's gone to her at an adult age. She says she predicts the craziest things in her life, and that if I ever wanted to go to a psychic, that would be her.
And Crystal says that this lady is nice. This lady is very good. She's very sweet.
Life changing.
Like she will change your life. She will give you such clarity on your relationships, on what you're going through,
just life,
spirituality.
And that's really what I was aiming to see.
That's what we both really needed, spiritual like guidance about what we were going through.
Clarity.
And Crystal even used the term that she was like an angel, right? This psychic.
I wouldn't say angel, but she said
She pretty much said that, yes. She was just very, very. She didn't use the word angel. She said that she was amazing. Like somebody else I should go to other than her.
So Abby, if I understand it correctly, you called and made the appointment, right?
I definitely did. I've actually, which is crazy because I've been wanting to go to Phyllis for a while. I called her for a year straight. And after hearing Crystal talk about this woman for 7 years, just this one particular year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to try to make an appointment with her. And every single time I called, she was booked. I couldn't get an appointment in at all. And then one day, I desperately knew I needed something. I knew she needed something.
We were going through.
She was especially going through some really traumatic, evil things in her life.
I'm sorry.
I was kind of just at a loss because she was going through so much stuff. She taught me all the spirituality. She taught me all like the key guys I need to know. And then she kind of, we weren't allowed to hang out because of the situation that she was being in. For the most part, we tried to hang out as much, but I kind of was like, oh no, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? After she told me.
Can I give you one piece of old guy advice right now?
Yes, please.
Whatever you do, don't let anyone separate you two.
We never will ever again.
Everyone
always tries to.
And that's what we were battling with.
Yes.
Especially at this time. So this particular day, she called me, or no, I called her and I was like, Natalie, we should go to a psychic. I said, I think I have the perfect person for us. Crystal's been telling me about her for years. And obviously Natalie recognized who I was talking about. She's like, yeah, she has been talking about that forever.
And Crystal, I thought was so I thought she was more enlightened than me. Now I'm like, it came from
very,
Crystal.
Very enlightened.
Yeah, very.
And Abby, you made an appointment for 2, right?
I called that day and I was like, would you happen to have a spot for 2? And she said, well, I have 1 slot open. You can come in, blah, blah, blah. So I'm expecting that we can go in together.
Right. And you kind of made that.
A year I couldn't get into this woman.
So you kind of made that clear that you wanted to go in together. And there was only one appointment. There was two of you. So obviously you think you're going in together.
I didn't specifically ask her. I thought just maybe saying, hey, me and my girlfriend would like to come in for a reading. Do you have any time? And she's like, I have one slot open. You can come at, I forget what time it was, honestly. But she said you could come at this time. And it was an hour after I called. So I booked it to Natalie's house. And I was like, we're going to go to the psychic. Like, we're kind of excited because we're looking for answers. And we're like, maybe this is going to be amazing. Like, maybe we'll get to know, like, maybe it'll just open our eyes to something.
I actually drove to your house. I remember because you were getting off work and I met you at your house. And then we went to Sheets. And
So you guys go into this lady's office together thinking you're going to have an appointment together. Try to remember, both of you try to remember walking into the waiting room or walking into the business. Can you remember the very first feeling that manifested, the very first feeling that hit you when you walked into the building together?
Okay. As soon as we walk in, first of all, when we pull in, there was like this gate, but it was like made up of dark horses.
Dark forces?
Horses.
Oh, horses. Okay.
Yeah, I actually have pictures. If I text them to you, if you can show them on the camera, because I went back a year later and took pictures because I needed some type of closure of what happened.
So you pull into this, there's a gate with dark horses that you got to go through.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. How'd that make you feel? Were you feeling a sense of, what was the sense you're feeling?
I didn't notice that part. She did, and when we went back there,
I'll text them to you.
All right. So you're into the place.
We go into the building, and she says, take a seat, or somebody at the front said, take a seat. So we took a seat, and it was just this tiny little lobby.
And there's a speaker.
It was very old, vintage looking furniture, very just
1960 maybe.
Yeah, very vintage decor. Dark walls, and then there was speakers above us. And the last thing you think you're gonna listen to when you go to a psychic is mainstream music, but it kept blaring Taylor Swift,
Bad Blood. The song Bad Blood by Taylor Swift, literally, it seemed like it played 3 times.
It had to.
I feel like it was 3 times
on repeat, and it was blasting.
I couldn't even Bad Blood. I'm like, ugh.
I couldn't hear my thoughts.
And the crazy thing is, my brother said when he was on his way back from Utah, he said when he something traumatic happened to him, he said the song Bad Blood was playing too. After I told him the story about what happened to us, he was the first person we called.
This is bizarre. So you're in a psychic office. You'd expect to hear, Eastern music, singing bowls or nothing.
Waterfalls, Reiki music,
But you're literally hearing Taylor Swift, Bad Blood over and over.
Blaring, Jeff. It was blaring. I couldn't hear my thoughts.
Wow, that is crazy. That's crazy. So what are you thinking at this point?
All right, I'll let you take it from here.
I just wasn't, in the back of my head, I kept saying, listen, I trust Crystal. I know exactly. Crystal would never send me anywhere that was bad. She knows how seriously I take things. It took me a long time because I'm very about things that sometimes I don't want to I don't want to put my full trust into everything. I like to do my research. I like to make sure everything's okay. And that's why I spend a lot of time with her looking everything up. But back to that, it was just more along the lines of, it was just bizarre. I didn't feel right. I didn't feel good at all, but it was just in the back of my head. I knew Crystal has been talking about this woman forever, and I was going to give it a go.
She was clarity, she just wanted answers. So she's like, okay. Yeah. And we're kind of risk takers, obviously, huge risk takers. Yeah.
How are you feeling, Natalie, at this point?
All the feelings, this was the worst feeling I've ever had, but it didn't start until she walked in that door.
Yeah.
So that's a point I wanted to get to. You thought you were going to be on an appointment together. You'd booked an appointment together. And the first thing, remember what I just said? This is so interesting. The first thing this lady does is what? Separates you.
Yes.
And she wants you to go in first, right, Abby?
She asked
who would like to go on first.
And I'm like,
and Natalie actually,
we're going together.
Natalie actually said, can we go together? And she goes, no.
Really? She said no.
She said no. Yes, that question was asked. She turned that down. She said, I have time for 2. So it changed into never having a time for the year to get me in one time, to having one slot open after I asked her to put us in together, to both of us being there, and now she has time for 2 separate ones.
Right. Now, Natalie, you're a spiritual worker. You know, I do spiritual work. And if somebody says we want to go in together, would you ever say no?
Never.
Interesting.
Sorry.
Interesting.
Never. Pop-up just came up. Hold on.
That's all right. No worries. So Abby, you go in by yourself.
So yeah. So I go in by myself. I said I'll go first. Yeah, since I was the one that booked the appointment and wanted to go there. She wanted to kind of go, but Natalie was a little.
I got bad vibes.
She got bad vibes, and I did too. But I was so inclined to go, and from what I heard,
and you were trusting Crystal a lot because she's been a reliable source.
100%, and
she can be a little too trusting.
Well, I don't think this was Crystal's fault.
It was.
We'll get into this.
It wasn't.
So I go in first, and the first thing that she has me do is she said, "Okay, well, take out your money." So I take out my money, and she tells me to put it into my left hand.
Now, what money is she talking about, Abby?
The money that I had to pay her.
Okay.
My reading.
Give me your money, make a wish.
So you didn't walk into a church and they wanted offering first. It was a psychic. So she says, "Get your money out."
Yeah.
Isn't that now? Well, I'm not going to draw an analogy to prostitutes or anything like that, but anyway. So she comes out and says, "Get your money out first."
Well, she says, "Give me your money, make a wish."
She says, "Give me your money and make a wish." She said, "Okay, you can give me your money, take it out and put it into your left hand." And I said, "Okay." So I put it in my left hand.
Why your left hand? Did you ever think about that?
I have always thought about these questions. This is like kind of I'm trying to still figure out what actually took place and what happened. And the little things that I do, like remember, I feel are very important to the story because maybe somebody else would know.
Yeah, Robert USN vet, 3rd generation, who's like a nuclear scientist type of guy, says that maybe it means nothing in this case, but the Bad Blood Taylor Swift song was the communication from the Vatican to the Illuminati black nobility.
And there's pictures of her, I swear to God, I swear to whatever, there's pictures of her inside with the Pope.
Interesting. And Travis is in there, and Travis Thorpe's in the chat room. Travis, I'm thinking left hand path. Why is she putting the money in the left hand instead of the right hand? But anyway, and left hand is also your hand of reception too. So interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is interesting. And that's something that I was curious about too. I'm just like, why any of this?
Mm-hmm.
So put it in my left hand and make a wish. She didn't say make your wish out loud. I said my wish to myself, and my wish was just get a clarity and an understanding and of where I'm at and what is to come with my life kind of deal. I just wanted to find answers.
It wasn't about like lust. It wasn't about money. And it was like it got mad or something that it could read her thoughts. That it wasn't about
she didn't like your wish.
Well, I didn't even say it out loud. And her response, she just got kind of snarly after she took my money. And it was really interesting because I've always said this, and anybody I've told this story to, I'm like, I wonder if it's because my thoughts are being read by her and I didn't wish for any kind of greed or, relationships or anything that maybe a person would wish for.
Yeah. But at the time she was dating
No, I wasn't. No, not at that time. No.
But remember what she said, you can have them if you want them.
Well, yeah,
that's kind of a big part, but
yeah, I can't really. I was
not going to say any names.
I was dating a professional baseball player, and it came up. Well, I'll
okay, yeah.
So she made me make a wish on with my money. I gave her the money, and then the first question she asked me was, "Do you believe in God?" And I said,
That is bizarre.
It's so bizarre. I can't even explain to you. I said, I believe in a higher power. I'm actually here to figure out, some things so I can start getting a better understanding of everything. I said, but that's not really why I'm here. And then she proceeds to ask me the next question, and she kind of gets into, well, I do expose that I'm a mom, that I didn't expose too much. I didn't want to tell her anything really that she could use to try to twist things around or anything. And at this point, I'm kind of uneasy. So I do say that I'm a mom, and I just want the best for my son, and blah blah blah. So that's why I'm trying to figure things out. And I don't believe in God. I just believe that there's something bigger out there. And I don't. That's not why I was there, pretty much. And that's what I kind of just drilled to her when she asked that question, because it just kind of took me off guard. So she proceeds to say after that, she said, well, what do you think about the bathroom situation? And I say, what bathroom situation? And she says that a man, what do you think a man dressed as a woman could go into the women's restroom? And I said, well, I don't discriminate. I don't really know what to think about this, because this is when it was pretty public, just getting new, they're really starting to promote unisex bathrooms or whatnot. And I said, that's not really why I'm here. She says, what if I told you you took your son into a bathroom and a man dressed as a woman went in and raped your son?
This is a psychic.
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts my heart.
And after that, I mean, it still brings tears to my eyes, because it's hurt me for so long. It's just one of those things that, like, why would you ever want to hear that? I don't know if it was, I just thought it was evil. I just really did. I don't know if she was, and why I can back that up is that I can continue proceeding with what she was asking me and the way she was talking to me. And I knew it wasn't out of any kind of care, like anything like that.
It was like using the law of attraction to plant negative seeds in her mind to try to.
I think she was planting fear.
It was all about fear
in my head at that point.
Control.
And control.
And Travis says that the left is known as the weaker part of us as well.
Interesting.
So it sounds to me like she
wanted to get me vulnerable.
Yeah, it's like she was literally attacking you, breaking you down.
You don't even know. It was.
What happened next, Abby?
Well, after she said, and it's really bizarre. I have to put this in too, because Natalie felt the same way. So when she shares her side of the story, it'll make sense. But I honestly couldn't look her in her eye. I tried to, and something just turned me away every time. It was something in her eyes that I couldn't.
She'd never looked her in the eye.
I couldn't. I didn't want to look. It was evil. How she was moving in her chair was kind of like this, and just like, oh, okay. Like she would go like this, like very like her hand. Oh, like claws. It was like, it was weird.
Oh my God.
And just not
very serpentine like.
Yes. Is how I can describe it. After she said that comment about my son, I wanted to walk up and leave. I couldn't. I was stuck in my chair.
Yes.
So you're literally stuck. You wanted to leave, but you felt like you were not able to locomote yourself.
Yeah.
Same thing happened when I was
100%. That's what happened.
So let me just clarify. You really think that you were physically stuck in your chair? You wanted to leave, but you were physically stuck.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was like a spell.
And then after that initial shock of her saying that about my son, there were so many thoughts
and that's probably what my head to me out there when you were in there. Like
I was immobile. I couldn't really move. I was kind of shocked. She kept going and carrying away with she's like asking me if I'm dating anybody, seeing anybody. I'm really not responding to any of her questions. And she's like, you can have anybody, or she said, you can have that guy that you're seeing if you want. You can have money. You can have a well-paid career. Like she's just trying to, if you want it.
Yeah, she said you can have it
if you really want it.
Wow.
I didn't need to ask her any kind of like, well, how do I get that? Like, what do you like anybody else possibly would be asking those questions, fishing for answers, dipping their feet into not such good things. But after that comment about the restrooms and my son being raped by a man dressed as a woman, I kind of shut down. And I honestly didn't really respond to much that she had to say. I really didn't take in much she had to say at that point. I didn't want to make eye contact with her. I was so froze with where I was at. And I got to go back and explain a little bit about like this place that we were in, because not just the lobby, when we went into her office, it's not like it's nothing that you would think a psychic's office would be.
She had a Mickey Mouse bobblehead.
It was still blaring Taylor Swift, Bad Blood. She had a desk with a planner right in front of her, lights wide open, like light turned right on.
A Mickey Mouse bobblehead that was bobbling. That's
a picture of Jesus that she pulled out from underneath her desk.
That's Natalie's part.
Yeah, like it was ridiculous. But she did have a lot of it just wasn't set up correctly. It is what I would be.
Yeah, like I've been to like spiritual advisors before. I worked for Jill at the Mystic Zone and stuff, and it was like all waterfalls and crystals and healing and good vibes and good vibes and it was not positive energy. Nobody wants to go into some place and hear what I had to hear. But
so how did you get out of there?
It felt like forever. It took probably 15 minutes I was in there. I want to say 15. I honestly don't really know because I felt like time stopped. I couldn't move. I was immobile. I hardly responded to anything. She told me that I was potentially going to write a book. Same thing that Natalie's going to explain her side to.
Everything negative, the only positive thing it said at the end to both of us was, you might write a book.
You potentially will write a book. And just kind of just speaking nothing. In my eyes, I'm just focused on it. And what, like she said about that, and her movements and the atmosphere and the music blaring, it was hard. So I get up and I'm kind of shocked. And the only thing I can say to her, I walked out of her office, and instantly from her office is her lobby. And I go, "Where's Natalie?" Or I don't even know if I said that. She's like, your friend's outside chain smoking cigarettes. She never smoked cigarettes like that. So, I was like, what? And I go out there and I'm in a trance. I don't really pay attention to anything.
Should I take it from here?
You can take it from here.
Okay.
Natalie, were you out in the car chain smoking cigarettes?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. So
and she never smoked like that ever.
Like I had a vape of one of those like big like vapes that you buy from a vape shop, but that wasn't good enough for me. I also kept cigarettes in case of, because at that time I was going through like the most traumatic thing you could even realize. I was like literally battling demons.
Sounds like Rocky Stucci. He's having a little issue right now smoking and vaping, so he feels you.
Most people that go through what we have to go through,
we should do Enjoy or a Jewel.
Yeah. So Abby walks out and she's hunched over. Yeah. And I look in her eyes. I've never seen her like this in my entire life.
Yeah.
It's like she was not there. It's like it was.
That's how I felt. Blank.
It was like soulless. It's like something sucked the life force energy out of her, and it was like anything that she ever believed in was gone.
That's how I felt.
It like put her in a path of confusion. I was like
fear,
confusion. I was like, I just look at her.
Shameful for even going. I was just tore up.
Oh, it hurts my heart.
Abby, it sounds like you literally did have your essence, your energy sucked from you by that person.
Defeated. I felt I couldn't.
Like empty. And so sad and so scared.
Especially when I was going in there already. I wasn't empty. I just was looking for answers. And then my hope for answers.
Everything. Crushed. It just crushed everything. And she's all hunched over and you can say it. She looks at me and I was like, what happened? Because obviously the most traumatic experience was when she was in there for me. But she's like, Natalie, what did you say, Natalie? I don't think you should go in there, but I think you have to.
Yeah, when I came back out to the car, Natalie was smoking, and she's like, what happened in there? And I said, I grabbed my stomach, and I remember this like it was yesterday. I said, Natalie, I don't want you to go in there, but I think that you might have to go in.
Why did you think she had to?
I thought that maybe I would be absolutely taken for crazy if I explained how she was moving, how she looked, how time stopped, what she said about my son, especially. I thought I was going to I knew she'd believe me, but I felt like somebody else, and nobody else other than you. Yeah. I can't say anybody else. It would have just been her. I would have never told anybody else. And I did warn her. And I feel bad kind of.
No, don't. But if I wouldn't have went in there, she would have never been the same.
So you decide you're going to go in?
Yes. Well, can I tell you what happened while she was inside?
Please.
Okay. Rewind in time. She walks inside of the door. The psychic says, okay, he wants to go first. And Abby goes in, right? The door shuts. And with it, I don't know how, like, time just was like not of an essence at this time. It was just, okay, as soon as that happened, I felt this huge attack. It was like I was literally being attacked by like a million demons. And it was like a cloud of energy attacking me. And I'm like, and I'm like breathing hard. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? I start crying uncontrollably.
In the lobby?
Yes, in the lobby. I run outside, go to my car, and I start smoking cigarettes. I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm like, please, and I say God, I'm like, please, God, give me a sign I'm not supposed to be here. All these black crows just start circulating.
Blackbirds, real blackbirds?
Yes, crows. They were like, there was probably
not in your mind's eye, literal birds.
No, crows.
But I mean, literally, they were there. It wasn't something you were imagining.
Wow. Yes, like I swear on my daughter's life, this happened.
Yep.
And there was like hundreds of them just swirling, and I'm praying in my mind. I have my head down. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And I'm crying. I'm like, I look up and I'm parked right in front of a stop sign. It says stop right in front of my face. And it's like the stop sign, I took pictures. I'll send them to you when we went, because I went back for like, I had to have some type of closure. Like, yeah. And the stop sign, like where we were parked, where like the dark horses were and stuff like that, like where the gate was.
Yep.
It was impossible for that stop sign to move. Where it was, because it was facing like facing that way. Like the stop, it said stop, but facing this way.
Yep.
And I was parked like this, and the stop, it was like something picked up that stop sign and put it in front of my face, and it said stop. Then
but you didn't. But you didn't.
What?
You didn't stop.
I did not what?
You didn't stop. You went in.
No. So then, like this all happens when I say, please God, give me a sign I should not go in there. So
besides the stop sign that you just got.
Stop coming. So the crows. Then I look up as I'm praying, and it's a stop sign because I see the crows, and I look down, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I look up and I see stop. Next thing you know, my phone rings. My dad and my stepmom are extremely spiritual.
Yes, they are.
My stepmom is extremely psychic.
That's why she was raised that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dad has helped her
get where I am.
Get where you're at.
Awesome.
I was a little rebellious teenager, but I mean, I got there eventually. Yeah. But so then my dad calls and he's like, Natalie? And I pick up the phone, I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm like, Dad, I don't know what's happening to me right now. Like something evil is happening in my life, not just about where I was at, like at the time, but like it's just like I was being attacked by demons, and my dad knew it. He's like, I don't know where you are or what you're doing, but you need to leave now. Kathleen just had the worst psychic attack. You need to get out of there. I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm like, Dad, you don't understand. He's like, yes, I do understand. I've never seen your stepmom like this in her entire life. Get out of there now. And I'm like, and I'm just bawling my eyes. I was like, Natalie, use the law of attraction. Light always like is stronger than the dark. And it's like he knew, but I didn't even tell him I was at a psychic. It was just, and crazy. It was crazy how he just knew. And I walked out. And then I'm still crying, and I hang up the phone with my dad, and I'm like, he kind of calmed me down a little bit. But then Abby walks out, and I'm just like, I turn my head and I'm like, what? Like,
What's
you
going
know,
on?
and that's when she like,
I told her,
it's like all
I
this
don't want you to, I don't think that you should go in there, but I kind of want you to.
as I'm praying that, you know, praying to God, like, please give me a sign and I know that something evil is going on in there, right? So that's when I go.
You guys, by the way, this is a tremendous interview. You're doing a great job. This information is powerful, and people that are seeking and learning and looking are going to be able to benefit from this tremendously. So thank you so much, Abby and Natalie, for sharing with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So do you want to continue on, Natalie, with what you do from that point?
Yeah, sure. So so obviously Abby says, I don't think you should go in there, or I don't, you know, but I go in anyway, you know, me being me, you know. So I walk in and I say, I look her in the eyes, and she never looked her in the eyes.
I really couldn't look her in her eyes.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And I say, what did you do to my best friend? And I look her in the eyes and she says, give me your money and make a wish. And I'm just like in a trance at this point. And I was like, I remember like my mind or my soul, like wishing for truth, like expose who you are, truth, like, who are you? That's all I could think about was like, what just happened?
Her wish.
Yeah, like what just happened? Like what is going on in like this, what is like all, like not even just like for her what just happened, but like for in general what we were dealing with in our lives at that time, like what is going on? Who are you type thing. And and I sit in a chair and I start seeing this like Mickey Mouse bobblehead just moving and moving and moving and moving.
Why do you think that catches your attention so much? You've mentioned that several times.
I don't know. It was just there. And it's
just really random things for a psychic to have.
Just completely crazy random.
Yeah.
Just a random.
Yes. So anyway, it says like, so when I was when I was like 4, I had this reoccurring nightmare about Jesus. And I was raised in a Catholic family, but my dad was obviously very spiritual and stuff like that. But my grandparents were really Catholic, and I went to Catholic schools. And this picture of Jesus gave me nightmares. So the reptilian psychic, it like pulled out a picture of Jesus, saying, "This is your Lord and Master." You're not.
But not just any picture. It was the exact picture.
The same exact picture that haunted me growing up. I remember this dream I had, and in my dream, that picture of Jesus stuck out a lizard tongue and winked one eye.
What are the chances that this psychic is going to pull out the exact picture of Jesus that haunted you as a child? And I think Mickey Mouse, I smell a rat. I think he's kind of a wicked dude. So
I do too.
Yeah,
we do too.
Yeah.
So she pulls out this nightmarish representation for you. Natalie, I can see, just breathe. You're really,
I know, sorry.
You're going through it. You're going through it.
I bring about it, but so much happened. And she pulls out this picture of Jesus and she's like, "This is your Lord and Master. You're not going to obey. This is who you must worship." It was so weird. And she kept telling me, she kept telling me I was going to burn in the lake of fire. Next thing you know, my soul, swear on my kid's life, you cannot make this shit up, is out of my body. And I see my body, it's like sinking. And I'm like, I stand up and my soul's out of my body and I'm screaming at my body, "Get out, get out, get out." And it was so crazy, but I don't know if any women are listening, but if you've ever had an epidural, the only way I can like describe this is like getting an epidural. It was like I had an epidural. My body and my limbs were numb. I could not get up and move.
I couldn't either. And that was
Oh, that's right. Both of you have that in common with your stories. You both got
we couldn't move.
Immobilized.
Yes, our bodies could not move.
But you could still feel, right?
Yeah, we could still feel. So my soul is outside of my body saying, "Get out, get out." And like, I'm like observing like what's going on, and it's somehow digging into my subconscious mind. And I'm like screaming at my body saying, "Don't tell her this, don't tell her this." And you know, like protect your thoughts, protect your thoughts. And somehow it found out about my brother being in Utah for the spiritual journey. And he was, they're like, "Oh," it was like, "So your brother's messing around with the white powder." And I'm just like,
She said white gold powder.
No, she didn't say gold.
She didn't?
Then that night we called Anthony and he was freaked out because he said he was doing something with white gold or white powder to try to make gold because my brother's really into like hermetics and all that.
Interesting.
It was obsessed with my Uncle Grinchy, or I call him Uncle Grinchy because he doesn't like the lies of Santa, but he does not like Santa's lies, and he was very traumatized as a child by being lied to.
What else did she say? She said that your dad was.
Oh yeah, there was a demon attached to my father. It told me I was going to have a long and happy marriage. We'll get into that a different day, but that is the only reason I went there because this man is the reincarnated soul of John Wayne Gacy, and I will never do another past life regression.
Well, real quick, just to say something about that situation is from an outsider and her claim. She was going through a very, very traumatic time with a very, very abusive, psychotic, very evil man.
Not man.
He's not a man. He's not human. The psychic was telling her, your husband loves you very much. You're going to live a long and happy life with your husband, but then she's talking all this negativity about her family, who's actually
like
very good people. It was like crazy.
I have never heard of such a bizarre experience in a psychic's office.
I've never experienced something so bizarre in my entire life.
It literally, like, we think about it, at least I do. I know Abby does.
I think about it
once a day. Once a day, like, what the heck?
Unfortunately.
Me and Chris, we told my cousin Chris about it, and he went back with her. He went back with us, like, to take pictures and she wasn't there.
I didn't want to go back there.
She was too traumatized.
I was too traumatized. I didn't want to go back.
How long has it been since this experience?
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years.
It was literally in May of 2016.
So, yeah.
Isn't that interesting? We have a question from the chat room that I thought was very good to ask, but I know what you.
And how it ended yet, but yeah.
Okay, well, please, after this, they asked us, and I know how you just said that you don't personally do past life regressions anymore, but have either of you been regressed to see what else might have happened in there that you're not aware of?
I have, and I went straight to someone called Metatron. I don't know if anyone knows who Metatron is.
Mm-hmm.
But I went straight to a cube. Like,
wow.
It was like a cube, and it was something named Metatron. And then one other time, I went straight to the Pleiades.
So this is very deep.
Yeah.
Very, very deep. So please please tell us how it ended up with you in the office.
So she pretty much said it for me because she literally, like, my throat chakra closes up talking about it, and hers, like, it's like we're our minds are synced. So what I can't say, it's hard for me to say.
Same weird movements. Tongue.
It was literally moving.
Her tongue
like
was moving. Yeah.
And obviously my soul went out of my body.
Like this.
Yes.
So that's why you say she was reptilian, because they're doing the reptilian tongue movements, reptilian body movements.
The picture of Jesus that pulled out.
I honestly think this is, it continues, and I'll wrap it up really quickly because I know people are.
No, take your time. Take your time.
And my battery might die. That's one thing.
Okay,
we got a good 20.
You have a good 30
minutes.
Okay.
After she came out, we were both kind of shocked. We were trying to talk to each other, but it was just so much to take in. I feel like we couldn't really, like, comprehend what all went down. So we're like, okay, let's just let's just go to dinner before, she had to go back home to where she wasn't having any kind of good issues, or she was having a lot of issues back at home. So we wanted to go somewhere and grab lunch real quick. So we went to Chipotle, and this Chipotle was maybe like 15 minutes away from the psychic on our way back home. And randomly, and this is so crazy. We get our food and we sit down.
We're like, what's going on?
Well, no, we get our food and we sit down, and then all of a sudden, my friend Crystal, who lives 45 minutes away from this Chipotle, walks in the door. and time stops. I'm telling you, Chipotle people with spoons in their hand, it literally was frozen.
It was like, I was like, oh my God.
It was frozen. And she came up to me and it was almost so crazy because like I didn't tell her we went to Phyllis. So I didn't tell her that we were going anywhere, like to do anything. I didn't even touch base with her. She's been telling me this for 7 years. Well, she comes in the door and she's like, hey guys, and we're sitting there like traumatized. We're like, oh my God, what's going on? Craziness.
Oh my God.
And the time just froze. And she comes up to us and she comes up to me and she's like, what are you guys up to? And I was like, Crystal, I was like, you'll never believe it. I said, we just went to Phyllis. And she said, oh my God, do you just love her? Isn't she the best? And I look at Natalie and we're like,
what?
And then what are you talking about? I said, no, Crystal. I said, I don't know how much I can talk about this right now because everything of me is just completely gone. I said, but did she ever talk to you about like God? Did she ever pull out Jesus pictures?
Or how tarot cards were evil?
Or she told me a lot of things. Like she things I left out is she told me tarot was evil and that I should throw my cards in the fire and watch the devil come out of the flames. And then
Wait a second. A psychic.
We forgot to say, and it also told me if I continued to heal people, I was going to burn in the lake of fire.
And that essential oils were evil.
It told me essential oils were the gateway to hell.
A psychic told you that tarot cards were evil and essential oils were evil.
That to throw my deck in the fire and watch the devil burn.
And it told me I would walk through the gates of hell with essential oils and
this
healing.
is why we feel like it was a reptilian. Because she says Phyllis has never been like that, nor has she ever said anything along those lines. She's read my cards before, and she's been nothing but a good spiritual advisor. And she said, quote unquote, I don't know who you went to.
Do you think that Phyllis could have been controlled by an entity?
Yes,
and that's what we're saying. I think she was shape-shifting.
I think she was a medium.
We were under a lot of attack at that time. Not even at the reptilian psychic. We were under a lot of
demonic attack.
And
something
I think
attached to her and followed us.
Wow.
The story is way more in depth if you knew like the past of going into the reptilian psychic. It would probably make a little bit more sense.
We should do like a part 2 of this, honestly.
It is really insane that Crystal walked through the door.
Time stopped.
And she said, you didn't go see this. She said, that doesn't sound like the Phyllis I know.
That's amazing, ladies.
So,
that is absolutely amazing.
Right after. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh. How does that even happen though?
And like, and I was like, do you see, I remember telling Crystal, like, what is going on? She's like, because she also noticed that time was stopped.
Yeah. She's like, what?
Like us 3.
Crystal noticed that time had stopped as well.
Yeah, it was just us 3. And everything else was stopped. And she was freaked out by it. She's like, whoa, like what just happened? We should get her on the show too.
Wow, that is amazing. So what's the takeaway from all this for people that are watching and listening to your story? If you could give advice to, other young women that are seeking, that are looking, that are trying to develop their path, what advice would you give them in relation to this whole situation that you've been through?
I would say don't go to outsider. I would say don't go to too many outsiders for information. I would definitely talk to the people that make you feel good. Do your research instead of looking for answers from the outside, from people that you don't know or anything, because who knows what can happen or what can advise.
Don't ever go to a medium. Especially if you're going through a lot of trauma.
Yeah. Because you don't know what could happen through it. The medium or the psychic. I mean, like Crystal said, she's phenomenal. But what we saw and what we experienced,
there's pictures of her with the Pope.
It just wasn't. It wasn't the same. I say, listen and be guided to whatever resonates with your soul. And if something doesn't, get the heck out of there. Seriously.
Yep.
And I would say
sense.
Also pretty much the same thing, but don't let fear control you.
Yeah.
Like as Yoda says, fear leads to hate leads to suffering, or fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. And that is literally the path to the dark side. And if you have light inside of you, that's what my dad says, like you're like a demon or whatever you want to call it, a jinn, but they cannot like you're darkness. But the light, if you light a candle in the dark, what do you see? There's light. You know, like
always be the light.
Always be the light. And if light's within you, you will always win.
I just wish 3 years ago when this happened, I would have had the strength to get out of that chair, even though I was immobilized. I feel like I think I just wasn't in control of my thoughts as much as I should be. So maybe just start controlling your thoughts a lot more. I think that's what I've been doing the past 3 years. And it's crazy the amount of things, goodness and good things you can manifest within just having some self-control of your thoughts.
Yes.
If you had it to do over again, would you not go? Or 3 years out, do you think it was an experience that helped shape who you are?
I would still go. That's me, because trauma made me grow so much. It did traumatize me, but I feel like it had to happen for a reason, and it tested me. It was something testing me.
I think I'm a little different.
And I knew what it was, but
I think I'm a little different. I don't know necessarily that I would want to go back, only because she hit so hard with my son. And
right.
Exactly. She told me my son was going to be raped. That's a hard thing for a mother to hear, comprehend, understand, want to live with,
Probably the most evil thing you could have heard.
Yes. 110%.
That's the worst. I couldn't do it.
110%. Yeah. And I wouldn't be sitting here making this stuff up. It's even hard for me. I was telling Natalie, I was like, I don't know if I want to vocalize what happened.
Yeah, she was afraid to come on the show because she doesn't want anything to manifest, but
it's just scary. So I don't think that I would have gone back, because I don't think it did any more growth for me. I think we have a fantastic life experience from it, and thank God she was with me, because if I was by myself,
she would have never been the same, because
I don't know what would have happened. But probably if I could take it back, I would. Because there's
interesting. Absolutely. Interesting. Wow. That's quite an experience. Abby, do you have any final words or last thoughts to leave with this great group that's watching and is literally mesmerized by this story?
Oh, wow. Awesome. No, I'm just so happy you had us on the show. I mean, this was wonderful. I was a little nervous to tell our story and stuff, but we've only told intimate people, people that are close with us and everything. So it's nice to kind of get it out and vocalize, and hopefully we just kind of, we can participate in this community that you got going on, Jeff, and see, talk to some people and kind of share other stories. And I love your channel, so I'm just so happy that you let us come on it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It just for you, Natalie, I think it's obvious, but since that lady said to you, throw your tarot cards away, don't do it, it's horrible.
Throw her tarot cards away. She's more of the tarot person.
You obviously know that you have a gifting with the tarot and that you should embrace it and move forward and move.
Well, that's
I know you're going to be doing it with Natalie at an event upcoming too, so that'll be great.
Yeah.
Natalie.
Her essential oils.
And I still do my loving
I do the essential oils
hypnosis
now too. So whatever to that reptilian psychic. She didn't know what she was talking.
So loving your inner child hypnosis. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, talk about that for a minute.
Okay, I just want to, if there's any listeners that have ever gone through any trauma,
and this has helped me.
It's helped her, and it can literally there's so many psychiatrists and psychologists out there that just steer people the wrong way and put them on medication, and but there's a lot of people that have childhood trauma, that have been raped, that have been neglected, that have been the most abused, and when I put someone through loving your inner child hypnosis, I put them in a hypnotic state, not too intense,
not too deep,
but I make them, go as their adult self to their inner child at their most traumatic experience you can, that the person's ever.
If a child's gone through something, or if a person has gone through something traumatic as a child, I think most people do remember.
Yes. So I make their adult selves go into their memory and just go back to that inner child that is being abused in their most painful memory. And I make the adult, their adult version of themselves experience that child suffering and watch it from their adult self. And then they love, and that makes it's like,
love that little child that has been.
Yeah, that is a child, and because people hate themselves. It works for a lot of people that hate themselves and don't know why. Depression. People who are self-sabotaging, PTSD, and I make them go back to that exact time where they were the most, traumatized as their adult self, seeing that innocent child being left without their parents forgetting to pick them up, or being molested by someone they thought they trusted. And I make their adult self go back and hug that child. And it gets so deep, and it's so helpful. And it makes them love themselves. It turns a switch on, and it brings tears to people's eyes, and it's very helpful.
Very powerful.
It is very powerful stuff. I've done it with her, and you got to get in that kind of mindset. You have to get in that meditational state of mind to see yourself as a young child,
an innocent child that needs love of an adult, of an adult. And you are the adult, and you are nurturing the child.
Which is all within us.
And it's
great stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Great stuff.
Hey, Jeff, we just hit 10% battery level. So.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up now. Abby and Natalie, I can't say thank you enough. It's a very powerful show. We will, if you're willing, we'll come back and we'll do part 2 of this. Yeah. And maybe we can even do something on a regular basis. It's been an honor and a privilege to have both Natalie and Abby with us. I know everyone in the chat room feels just the same. We appreciate you so very much, and we hope that you'll continue to keep pressing forward, keep developing your spiritual gifts, because you're 2 of the good ones, and we need your help.
Well, we're here to help. And we love you. We love all of you listeners. Thank you.
Thanks for taking your time to listen to our story. And
yes, Jeff,
it's actually been really nice. Yeah, it's actually been really refreshing.
And I love you because, obviously you're a Christian whistleblower, and I told you about my trauma with the Jesus picture growing up.
That's right. We'll take care of Plastic Jesus. Don't worry.
Yeah, you get him, Jeff. We'll get him.
If you ladies would sit there, please, for a moment so I can say goodbye to you personally. But in the chat room, you're the most important part of this channel. We appreciate you very much. I salute you for being here, seeking after truth. And just remember, we are the last generation of real humans. It's time for us to get busy, because if we know that winners write the history, if we don't win, no one will know what happened here. So let's get busy, winning. And together, we'll write a better tomorrow. For Natalie and Abby, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. And I just have one question for you. Who's with me?
We are.
Yes.